What's going on, people? Welcome back to GXAFC. As always, big up to everyone who's been interacting with the channel, liking the vids, subscribing to your boy, and letting me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And big up everyone for hitting that subscribe button because your boy has hit 500 subscribers. That was a goal at the start of this year, and we've done it. So big up to everyone who's been showing support. Road to 600 by the end of February, I would say. Road to 600 by the end of February. Make sure you guys sharing the content as always. And yeah, it's that time of the week, match preview, and this time it's in the Champions League against Inter Milan. If you lot remember, last year we actually faced them in one of the earlier games during the group stage, and we lost to them 1-0. But coming into this game, we're actually on form in the Champions League. We've won all our games. We scored 17 goals. Looking at the table, we scored 17 goals and only conceded one. So, bruv, that's a madness because we've been on absolute crud. We've been on fire on in the Champions League this season, and we could basically say that we've already qualified for the last eight. Looking at the table, I don't really expect us to drop any significant points over the next few games because we've got Inter Milan and then we've got Kairat. So coming into this game, I'm expecting us to make a lot of changes. Obviously, with the Manchester United game in mind over the weekend, I feel like that game is of greater importance. So coming into this game, I would like to see Mikel Arteta making some big changes. So let's get to the team lineup. In goal, this is what I've gone for. This is what I would go for. This is what I would like to see Arteta go for. In goal, I'm actually going to go for Kepa. Obviously, David Raya has made all the appearances, has featured in all the Champions League games this season. No, actually, Kepa played against Club Brugge, if I'm not wrong. So I'd also like to see Kepa make an appearance in this game because even though there's no need to rotate the goalkeepers, I feel like it's better not to risk it, especially in a game like this that doesn't really mean much for us going forward. So in goal, I'm gonna go for Kepa. In terms of the defense, I'm gonna put Ben White at right back. He's had some decent games ever since he's come back into the team, and as I always say, going forward, I feel like he gives us more than Timber. Obviously, defensive and all around, and in terms of his overall play, he may not be as good as Timber, but then I feel like he's a decent enough right back. So at the right back spot, I'm going to go for Ben Wise. He keeps his pace over there. In terms of the centre backs, I'm going to go for Christian Norgard. Obviously, he's made a few appearances as a centre back in a few games this season, in the Club Brugge game and also in the Portsmouth game when we beat them 4-1. So he hasn't really put a foot wrong this season. I think he's had some decent performances. So I'm going to go for Christian Norgard. Right next to him, I'm actually going to go for Christian Mosquera. Obviously, he's back from injury. He actually made the bench for the game on the weekend against Nottingham Forest. And I'd start him for this game, bro, because I don't see any reason to risk either Gabriel or Saliba. So Christian Mosquera straight back into the team for this one, and he's had a decent season so far. Mosquera, so big him up. At left back, I'm gonna go for Lewis Kelly. I would actually start him for this game. Obviously, he's been dropped over the past few games for Timber, but for this game, I would go for Lewis Kelly. I feel like he deserves an opportunity in this game, and hopefully, he puts in a decent performance because this season he's been looking a bit shaky, especially in terms of his defensive game. But in this game, I'll go for Miles Lewis Kelly at left back. In the midfield, I'm actually going to go for Mikel Merino as the holding midfielder. Had a decent game against Portsmouth when he played in that role, so I'll go for Mikel Merino in that mode holding midfield spot. As the two number 10s, I'm actually going to go for Eberechi Eze and Ethan Wanyeri. I would like to see both of them um, get opportunities in this game, especially Ethan Wanyeri, who hasn't, he's barely featured this season. And I feel like in this game, you should be starting Ethan, man. Like, I don't see Ateta starting him in any of the other games coming up because we're quite deep into the Carabao Cup. We're at a critical stage in the Premier League, and after the group stages in the Champions League, I don't see Arteta giving Ethan an opportunity, especially in the knockout rounds. So coming into this game, this would be the best opportunity to start Ethan Wanyeri. He's a very good player, one of our most talented players. So I'd like to see Ethan Wanyeri start. And as I said, right next to him, I'm going to go for Eberechi Eze. Also needs to get some game time, bro, because over the weekend, I was absolutely fuming when I saw Mikel Merino coming off the bench before Eberechi Eze. Like, it didn't make no sense. So, and he's barely been featuring over the last few games, especially in the Premier League. I believe um, prior to the Nottingham Forest game over the weekend, Eze hadn't even gotten any minutes in the last five Premier League features, in the last five Premier League games. So that should not be happening. Like, Eze should not be getting 0 minutes off the bench, especially when South Man are dropping stinkers every week. But more on that later. So Eberechi has in right next to him. In terms of the attack, I'm going to go for Noni Madueke on the right hand side. He's actually done all right in the Champions League. He obviously got himself a goal against Bayern, and he got himself 2 goals against Club Brugge in our last Champions League game back in December. And I feel like that's where you should be playing Madueke in the Champions League games. But we need to see a big performance from him because he does very well in terms of beating his players. But then when it comes to the end, to the final ball, to the end product, like scoring goals or getting assists, he's quite poor with that, bro. Like, we need to be seeing more from Madueke in that aspect. Like, his decision making, the IQ needs to improve a bit. So, but on the right hand side, I'm gonna go for Madueke, as I said. On the left wing, I'm gonna go for Gabriel Martinelli. He's been on smoke in the Champions League this season. Actually, in general, in the cup games, because I believe he's our top scorer in the Champions League with 5 goals in 6 games. Obviously, he was injured for one of the games, but he's literally scored in every Champions League game that he's played in this season. So I don't see any excuse not to start him. And he's been on smoke in the Champions League, so no complaints from that. No complaints in terms of starting Martinelli on the left wing. I feel like he gets more space to run in behind in the Champions League because teams play a bit more. They don't sit back as much as teams do in the Premier League. So in this game, as I said, Martinelli on the left hand side. Up front as a striker, I'm going to go for Gabriel Jesus. I feel like it's too early for Kai Havertz to come back into the team, but maybe I would like to see him come off the bench. And in terms of Victor Gyökeres, I'd like to see him rested for the Man United game. So as a striker, I'm going to go for Gabi Jesus. Big performance needed from him because when he came back from injury, he dropped some good performances. But the last few games, when he's come off the bench, he's been looking. He hasn't been playing well. He hasn't been delivering big impacts of the games. Obviously, it can be difficult sometimes depending on the situation of the game. But as a striker, I'm going to go for Mr. Gabi Jesus. And in terms of the score prediction, I'm actually going to go for 2-1 Arsenal. I feel like we're going to go 7-7 in this game. And Inter actually missing a few key players with Denzel Dumfries and Hakan Kalan Hoglu, if that's how you say his name. He obviously scored against us last time we played them. So that would help us quite a lot in this game. So, as I said, 2-1 Arsenal prediction. And I would like to see us play some decent football in this game. That's why I've gone for a more fluid midfield, a more attacking midfield with Wanyeri and Eze being in that team and having the pace with our wingers like not Leandro Trossard, Martinelli and Noni Madueke starting, and Gabi Jesus as a striker. So I would like to see a good performance from the team in this game. Obviously, it doesn't mean much, but go out there and just play for whatever. Just go play football. And yes, as I said, 2-1 prediction. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the starting lineup. Let me know what you think of my prediction. Drop your predictions in the comment section below. So, as I said, big up to everyone for checking out the vid. And I'll see you lots in the next one.